Vigilante Williamson here on the 10th episode of late Saturday night with Vigilante Williamson. It's really early Sunday morning. I am sorry I'm late. I know I did double dip today, but man, it got up. Well, I didn't got up. Saw the fight because that's how I'm obviously going to talk about the fight. My prediction was wrong. Though it was almost right. Certainly that was the fourth or the fifth round. It looked like I was right. But saw the fight. Back was hurting from carrying the Phantom. No, my back has just had pain. And so I just didn't feel like getting up. I'm like, I got to get up. I got to do the show. You guys were waiting, and thank you all. I'm sorry for the delay. Let's see what you guys said while this is actually before the show was supposed to start. I think it was supposed to start 1:35. This is like 1:04. Wookiee Supremacy was inspired by me. Now he's a vigilante in his own neighborhood. Saw a kid litter in the street today, so he curved him. It's going to be a closed casket on that SOB. Well, that's a bit extreme. Not really what I advocate, Wookiee, in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Candy wrappers in my gravel was the wrong thing to do. Justice must be swift. Think you're a bit extreme, Wookiee. I'll be honest. And see you in a bit. Hell, Courtney's Fellowship of Eyeballs and Hell Code Era. Yeah, more of me. More me. You guys saying hi before the show. And Nancy was here. Hell, Sherry. Appreciate you being here. Hell, Nancy, Parrot Head, saying hi to Nancy. Yeah, the Gypsy King, Ascension Dildo. That was an incredible fight. That was why we watch heavyweight boxing. By far and away the best of the series. And honestly, I'm being honest, the best heavyweight fight I've seen in a long time. As far as heavyweight boxing. Yeah, sup colonizers. Buzz. People didn't colonize, we conquered. There's a difference, I guess. CIA got vigilante. No, they didn't. Back pain got me. This is your compromised Williamson. Sleeper cell Williamson. Wake up. It's time to fight crime. I was up. Look into me. This Biggie Smalls thing. Nah, I'm Candy, man. Man, I have a line, and I think the song is still on my channel. Shout out to Jay Marvel. His channel has really exploded. He produced it. But I have a line said, I think I said Viggy Smalls a bad boy or something like that, reference to the Pistons. So I forgot what I said. And Viggy Juice. Oh boy. I don't know what time I showed up. I did show up. So maybe you guys did heal my back pain. My back still hurts. Sorry. I'm very sorry. The globalist got him or he fell asleep. With the globalist philosopher, maybe they recruited me. Yeah, that's when they recruited me, right then and there. Maybe he was one the whole time. Yeah, I doubt it. A little late response. Episode number 10 is Misfire. Not as late as VW. Yeah, sorry about that. Gonna check back a little later. No, I wasn't a no-show. Don't think you sleep. The fight ended not long ago. Yeah, I came back. You guys were taking bets on me. You better go live with this box of puppies will die. I'm glad I saved that box of puppies, Nelson and gentlemen. I'm gonna go feed my Doge and check in later. Sherry Wave. Yeah, now I'm here. Now the Doge can wait. And that was a great fight. Plus, you were right. Did you call it around? I don't know if you called it around. R4. So off today. I should have watched it. How did it go? The fight was incredible. Deontay Wilder came out with the head of steam the first round. I think he took the first round fairly easy. He kept going for like these long jabs. A lot of them hit, a lot of them didn't, but he still was the more active fighter that very first round. Second round was pretty. I still think he still was throwing a lot of jabs. It could have went either way. I kind of gave it to Fury, but it was Wilder could have very easily won that one. Third round, Fury knocked Wilder down. Fourth round, fucking Wilder knocks Fury down twice. One of them, Fury does the fucking Ric Flair bump, where Ric Flair in wrestling had this thing where he would act like he'd get hit by a move and act like he's about to retaliate and then flop. That's what happened to Fury. He got hit so hard, like on the top of the head, like his whole body jiggled, and he tried to move, but his central nervous system was just so mussed up that he had to fall. So 2 knockdowns in the fourth, and then a good round by Wilder in the fifth. So right here, I'm thinking my prediction is gonna come true. Wilder's been pretty much was the dominant one the first 5 rounds, but then Fury took control from that point on. Wilder was kind of gassed. They both were pretty gassed in some of the middle rounds, but even then, Fury was winning. The first 5 or 6 rounds were so explosive from both, and even those middle rounds. I mean, Wilder ate some bombs. No one should, even though he lost, no one should question his heart or his chin. He ate some really just brutal shots. He tossed a couple still out. And one can't help but to wonder, yeah, Fury did smack Wilder. Wilder came in so much bigger than he normally did. And yeah, we can finally relax. Another monster is here. Yeah, it was definitely the best heavyweight fight in a long time. I said since about 20 years. Come on, you know the relax. Sup, you know the relax thing. Y'all. Come on, man. Elfish Chozo. Yeah, he did try to box Cinch Dildo. He was actually trying to box. Yeah, I showed up. Nice to hear you. Glad I wasn't Clinton sided. Yeah, you and me both. Like I said, pretty bad back pain, but not Clinton sided. And yeah, you were wrong. I did show up, Courtney. I did show up. And I was not Clinton sided. I hadn't talked about too much. Well, it seems like every episode I'm talking about something that could get me Clinton sided. I don't know. Isn't it crazy we live in that world? You say the wrong thing, you can be taken off the earth. You can be censored. You can be unpersoned. You can be disallowed to bank. If you don't do the right things with your or you don't do what everyone tells you to do with your health, you would lose the right to work. Like this became the CCP overnight. 10 years ago, all this stuff would have been, clutch your pearls type stuff, and now it's been normalized. That's a bit of a tangent off Wookie's joke. Back to the fight. So the middle and late rounds, because it went to 11 out of 12. I think it was ended in 11. There were a few spots, even in rounds that Fury was dominant, where Wilder got off some really late bombs, and I think the 9th and the 10th, particularly the 9th, he hit an uppercut clean in one of the exchanges. Because really, most of this fight, outside of explosive moments, was a lot of clinching, a lot of dirty boxing, a lot of pushing down from Fury to Wilder, and the ref let it happen. He tried to, the ref didn't want to interfere. He kind of let them fight. A lot of dirty boxing, maybe even some low blows from both men. But the ref, he just let them fight. He didn't want to be the deciding factor. So that was the fight, and then eventually, there were a couple knockdowns. I think one was it once in the 10th and one in the 11th, and that was the final one because Wilder just looked glazed on his feet for a few rounds, and then after that last knockdown, the referee finally stopped him. Yeah, Fury was definitely gassing him out. And yeah, and Wilder showed a lot of heart. I'm sure, I haven't checked the post conference, and he did go Isaiah Thomas and Bill Lambier and leave before the announcement. He didn't hug him or shake his hand. As far as Wilder to Fury, he just left. I think his pride was hurt because he really gave it his all. He really did give it his all. I gave him as many as 3 rounds with a potential for 4 of the early 5, with a couple knockdowns, but he just got grinded down. He just got grinded down. Fury, he wasn't afraid to lose a fight. He's known as this boxer, and that just was a fight. That was not a boxing match per se. Lots of clinching, lots of almost wrestling. Lots of it, but still inside work. It wasn't like they were just holding each other and hugging each other. They would be holding each other and then still throwing punches at each other. And that's one of them. Like I said, that's where Wilder's uppercut came. Yeah, it was beautiful. If you like heavyweight boxing, man, I don't know how you could have got a better fight. And even some of the early fights before then were pretty good for boxing fans. If you're a fan of boxing, I'm not trying to say it as a troll. I'm a boxing normie myself. This is not what this channel usually covers. This is new for the channel. I try to cover things that I'm interested in outside just entertainment and politics and that sort of thing. But man, it was a really good fight. It's to me the type of fight the heavyweight division needs. We'll see what happens going forward. So this Wilder chapter is done. I guess there's a 30-day window where if they can get Anthony Joshua to step aside, you can do Fury Usyk. The WBC, which is grimy as it come, has at least given them that. Yeah, AJ Usyk. This is what boxing is needed. The past few months, and then you still have I know that's heavyweight boxing, but for the welterweights, you got Sean Porter and Terrence Crawford coming up. We obviously almost got Manny and Spence, but Manny ended up getting retired by Ugas. Spence having injuries. We'll see what happens with Ugas and Spence, or Spence and the winner and Porter and Crawford. So there's a lot of boxing going on. It's making up the past couple, with this pandemic, it sidelined so much boxing, and it's all coming together. So if you're a boxing fan, fight fan, there's a lot to see. And hell, Zach's with the mask. You always have a mask, but I just toss that out there. Shout out to Zach. Shout out to everyone who's watching this show live or in the playback. Shout out to anyone new watching the show, because like I said, I'm not a boxing only pundit or boxing primarily pundit, but I do watch the sport. Somebody dropped a DM with fight links earlier. Did you watch? I did watch. I ended up finding it on my own. And so I didn't even check. I had actually just been watching, like, after I got off earlier. All I've been watching is prelims and then the fight and then this. You know what I mean? So I was watching the prelims. There were some prelims on, what were they on, ESPN or something, or Fox Sports. I saw those and then found the link and changed it to that when I watched the actual main card. I like the main card. The Kalnaki fight and Hellenius, that was a weird one, man. Kalnaki, those poles, he went Andrew Galata. Lots of low blows and really threw low blows so he didn't get stopped, because he was about to get stopped and he probably should have got stopped anyway. And Kalnaki, who was a prospect of some sort, said, was getting rocked again by Hellenius. He already lost to Hellenius once. And instead of getting stopped, opted to throw low blows to the point of getting disqualified. That was definitely interesting thing to watch. And then there was another fight between two heavyweight prospects. Ijagba, I'm screwing up his name. And the guy who beat him, I can't think. I want to say Francis. Jesus, what was his name? I gotta check the card. Okay, Fury Wilder full card. I cannot think of the guy who beat Ijagba. And Ijagba was the guy that everyone thought, was supposed to be the next one upcoming, but apparently he's not. So let's see, full card, so I can get the guy who beat him, who looked really good. Frank Sanchez. I don't know what I said. Frank Sanchez beat F.A. Ijagba. He really grinded him down. Not just grind. I mean, he just outboxed him, and he didn't. Ijagba just didn't throw. He didn't throw. And Zach, Cincha Dildo said the Sopranos movie ain't good. I know Matt was pretty excited about it. It looked pretty good in the trailers. Went to see the Sopranos movie. Should have watched the fight. If you can watch the playback, if you can get a link of that fight, I mean, I just kind of spoiled it with Fury winning, but it was worth it, man. It was worth it. I would say, we're so used to the big fight being a dud. Everyone remembers Pacquiao, Mayweather. It was sort of it was a little okay technically, but it was kind of a dud. Dad said it was bleh, 5 out of 10. Oh, man. So these are not glowing reviews. I ain't saying never seen. I've seen some of the Sopranos. I was never a big Sopranos guy. Some of it I saw was cool. I've seen parts of the first season, and then just like random episodes. Kicked the guy in the puddle of himself in my front yard earlier. Boxing seems tame after that. Is that real? Or is that a work or a shoot, Wookie? That you really did? Because I know you had made that joke about being a vigilante. Don't litter. Okay, we're still in the litter word. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure, man. Don't want Wookie getting knocked up. Not knocked up, locked up. Getting knocked up. Well, hey, they're pregnant people now. So they're not pregnant. You're not pregnant women. They're pregnant people. So I guess you can't get knocked up now, Wookie. That's what Twitter tells me. That's what yeah, Wookie's definitely trying to get arrested. That's what I meant to say, locked up. Overall, pretty cool for boxing. I don't know how mainstream this is. I don't know how mainstream anything is. You're birthing people. They're birthing people, not whamming anymore. Well, get what you deserve on that one. I hope that feminism tastes nice and delicious now. Now it's just a callback, wondering if you saw that. I just wanted to make sure, man. It's a crazy world. Luckily, your next comment kind of told the story. It was a callback. But yeah, man, that was a really good fight. Even if you're not a boxing fan, you should enjoy that fight. I know there was, like I said, the Ajagba Sanchez fight. If you were a boxing fan, you would like it. If you weren't, it wasn't that much action, and there were actually boos during that fight. Even though I enjoyed it personally, just the strategy of it, but it wasn't as active as you like. But the Fury fight, the Wilder fight, the main event, absolutely was worth the price of admission. I didn't pay. Probably shouldn't say it. Don't get banned from this platform or anything, but just being honest. And I felt like I cheated them. It was that. I mean, 80 is a lot, but it was definitely worth it, man. That was a really good fight. And it's really good for the sport of boxing. Hey, I picked Wilder. He didn't win. I'm a fan of both guys, so it's not like a heartbreaking loss. Wilder showed a ton of heart. I don't know what's going to happen with his career. He's 35. He'll be 36 in a few weeks. He got beaten now by this guy twice. I still think he's one of the best fighters on earth, best heavyweight fighters on earth, even with the loss, even with both of these losses. I think there's a lot of guys in the division he can still beat, but I don't know where he's going to be at mentally. He's a guy that really does have to believe a lot of delusion. He's an emperor in no clothes guy. He had to believe all the cheating, all this, that, and the third. So where does he go from here? Where he has no excuses. I say that, but I did see some excuses about some of the counts. Maybe that Fury got long counts when he got knocked down. And Wilder didn't get a count when, that last knockdown. We have security to curb stomp people over here. Gated community is nice. Shout out to Seth Rollins or American History X with the curb stomp. Klitschko's dominance and boring fight style almost killed boxing for me, not to mention all the corruption in the sport. Yeah, it almost killed boxing for a lot of people. As much as Floyd gets shit, I mean, Klitschko's dominance destroyed the heavyweight division as far as popularity goes. If not for Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, I don't know where boxing would have been in that 10 or 15-year period. And Smello, loose cannon with the Rorschach mask now. And just loose cannon, not the what too. Just keeping it simple. How you doing, man? How you doing? Talking a little bit boxing. Doing something a little bit different. Because we can just, I can complain about a bunch of, this guy's woke. This is woke. But it's like, I'd rather talk about something that's fun. You said last one wasn't really a knockdown, that Wilder was just done. Maybe. There were a few times where he looked like he was about to fall. And almost like Fury may have either accidentally or intentional, if you believe it's that corrupt, held him up. Because he was on wobbly legs. After the 5th round, he had no more gas in the tank. No more. Boxing a lost art. This, if you saw the fight tonight, it was Wilder losing to Tyson Fury, and it was a really good fight. It was a really, wasn't really the most artistic boxing fight, though there was a lot of strategy still employed. But it was really fun to watch. Really fun to watch. Made me feel good to be a boxing fan. Not sure, how normie bait it is. That's the big thing. How many normies? How I don't know what the Twitter movement is. I guess I could check the old Twitter. I would hope it's trending or number one or up there. Not sure what else may have happened today. Walking Dead, Injustice, Venom 2. Only God knows how accurate this fucking what's happening thing is. I do not see it up there. But I hope it is. I hope it is getting, some more publicity, some more push from the normies. And oh yeah, now I'm seeing Zach's his link from the boxing Discord. I end up finding my way to it. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Wookie said like fighting better than boxing. And on that note, MMA took the spotlight the past 20 years. Absolutely. I'm a big MMA fan too. Well, I say medium. Medium with both. I'm a normie. I'm really a casual with both. I'm not gonna act like I'm an expert with either. Yeah, it looked like a brawl. The fight was definitely more of a brawl than a artistic boxing fight. But it was still fun to watch. And then MMA absolutely took a lot of boxing thunder the past 20 years. The combination of Klitschko's reign, MMA pushed, as much as Floyd helped, some of the negative of Floyd's marketing, where everybody wants to hold on to that they don't fight each other as much, and then boxing goes through gaps. Now, I mean, as someone brought up, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder could have fought in 2017. We would have had an undefeated, undisputed champion. Now, 4 years later, both have 2 losses and no titles. And it's because they wanted to be Mayweather Pacquiao. And well, no, that was once in a generation. Mayweather Pacquiao should have happened more. They lost money, as much money as they made for that mega fight in 2015. If they would have done multiple fights, they would have had multiple major paydays. That's the reality. I'm a Mayweather fan. He gets a lot of flack, but I'm a Mayweather fan. Hell, Kai. And MMA rightfully took the spotlight. Is right. MMA did it right. The big thing with MMA is they fight each other, and they don't with boxing, because there's a Dana White, and whether you like Dana White, whether there's a lot to be critical of Dana White. He's the boss, so he helps. And then sometimes there's issues, but hell, when there are issues making fights, they joke and say it's boxing, because boxing doesn't make fights, and that's the big issue. And that them not being able to make fights like they did back in the 90s, 80s, 70s, and there were still issues in a lot of that. I mean, shit, Riddick both throwing the WBC belt in the trash. You still had issues, but like they were able to make a lot of those fights back then, and they don't make them now. And MMA does make the fights that we want to see. And, that's over 20 years of that. You have now generations of kids who grew up as MMA fans. Also, MMA steals a lot of talent that, the kids that would have been into boxing a generation ago, when they're 8 to 14, they're now practicing MMA at that age. And that's why MMA is where it is and boxing is where it is. And it's going to take a lot more fights like we got tonight, and a lot more of the, we got Porter and Crawford coming up. Boxing's going to have to work to make a lot of fights that people want to make, especially after this pandemic. They can't rest on their laurels. I think a lot of boxing fans, especially when MMA first started, they had the snooty ass attitude on it, and now it's been completely taken over by it. And just like fights, I don't care what it is, boxing in front of me, I'll watch it. Yeah. Mayweather wouldn't fight Pac until Pac was retiring, and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna retire without fighting me." Mayweather was a pump bitch. I think that's a bit narrative. Fucking Pacquiao went another 6 or 7 years after Mayweather. He just now officially retired, and he was a couple years older. Now, don't get me wrong, he was definitely strategic. He didn't want any smoke with 2010, 2008 to 2010 Pacquiao. No way. Mayweather was definitely strategic about that fight, and I think it was a mistake not taking that fight earlier. But I think, and that's what a lot of people say, man, he waited on Manny. I was like, well, he was a couple years older. And Manny did shit. Manny didn't retire until now. And he was great, man. He's a really good fighter. He still was going another 5 or 6 years after that fact. Technically, Floyd is too, if you count this Logan Paul craziness. So I mean, I get that emotion, man. I definitely get that emotion. He was definitely, but I will say, with the paychecks they were both making fighting other people that weren't them, I can't help but to think Pacquiao was cool with the fight getting a little bit more delayed anyway. Yeah, so it ended up working out. And Don King, I guess for a little bit, Don King kind of was the boss, better or not, for better or worse, because he had so many fighters on his stable in the 90s. Only conversation where I don't sound like a psychopath for saying that. And Kai MFS is S. Oh, spitting truth. Floyd's a punk. I think Punk is strong. He was a strategic guy. He was a strategic guy with his fights. I mean, the really thing that gets me with Mayweather is he'll do a lot of the rehydration clauses, which De La Hoya did a generation before him. And he was really good at a lot of that funky stuff, catch weights, meeting people at different weights, a lot of that stuff. So, but he did fight the most champions, for whatever that means, because there's like 1,000 belts. God damn, there's too many belts in boxing. There are so many champions in boxing. I don't know how much that matters now. But yeah, hashtag me 3 Wookiees. Tyson's one of the GOATs because he fought greats while they were still strong. There's something to be said about that. And that's why that era I think that's why that era was better. As far as not just, popularity, and the 90s were a better era for boxing because more people fought the greats. There was a lot less of this ducking. And unfortunately, people learned the Mayweather way. That's what people learned because of the amount. I get why you're critical of Mayweather. You have the right to be, man. Because that a lot of people have learned the wrong thing for that. I still think he's one of the greatest fighters of all time, regardless. But yeah, I still think he lost to Maidana, the first fight. But and I think there's some other fights that are probably questionable. I really wish more fighters fought. That I think that's why boxing is falling. And yeah, truth. He says Floyd's a punk. Want to see Joe Rogan destroy Chuck Yeager, aka Sank Uger? I really want to see. I want to see. You ever see that thing where Rogan's giving those spinning back kicks to the heavy bag? I want to see him hit Sank right in the stomach with a spinning back kick, like as hard as he could. No, Pac won the title a few years ago. He beat Keith Thurman. He fought top talent. He beat Keith Thurman 2018, 2019. So he was still fighting top, and he even this year was fighting Ugas, who was a real fighter. So Pacquiao, I think Floyd did more exhibitions than Pacquiao. I gotta give Pacquiao credit. I mean, he hasn't been the same. No, Pacquiao hasn't been the same since Marquez put him to sleep. That ended his prime. Once he got knocked out like that, and he was actually dominating that fight. If you remember, it was Juan Manuel Marquez 4 because he had fought him 4 times. Once he did that, that's when his prime was out. True that. He was still and maybe you can make an argument that's an indictment on this generation for letting Pacquiao be able to compete. He strategic way into a stronger opponent his age because he cared more about his record than being a good fighting. I can't deny that. Even though again he had to age too, and there has to be but Pacquiao was an athlete. Everything was about his explosiveness though, and I really wish we would have saw the fight in 2010 or 2011. I don't know how I would have, and I wish we would have saw it again. If we would have saw multiple sets of that fight, I think it would be a little bit less questions. There are still people who think even with that fight, Manny's better than Floyd. There's arguments for that. You know what I mean? There's very strong arguments for that. I really wish they didn't do it that way. And Yeah. So yeah, you got the crowd. Another monster is with you. Chunk was trying to eat Joe Rogan's ear. Mayweather is a huge part of why nobody watches boxing anymore. Boxing looks corrupt. Champion's a bitch who picks his fights, and when his opponents are weak. And real warriors go to MMA. That's, you know what? That is the perception. And yeah, no shit. He didn't know that. Hadn't heard from him in. I guess I haven't paid attention. Yeah, he won a title, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago against Keith Thurman, who really didn't. Honestly, Keith Thurman was even though he was much younger, he was pretty much ready to retire himself. He was already ready to retire. I kind of thought that. So like this is the perception, and that's perception is reality. And I think a lot of the reason Mayweather did a lot of stuff fighters had done before him, but he did it all the time. Even I mentioned Juan Manuel Marquez, which a lot of Mayweather fans will note. You know, Manny struggled with him, and Mayweather, stopped him. But they had like this crazy ass rehydration clause where he couldn't get bigger. Mayweather would always add that stuff in, even if he beat legit guys and fought legit guys, even outside of Pacquiao, fought a lot of legit guys. But he would always toss in a different weight or rehydration or did something with the gloves. It was always something. He would nickel and dime and negotiate his way to wins before he even got into the ring. And it made him it burnt boxing out. It made him and Pacquiao the only things that mattered for a generation. And once they're gone, now that they're gone, and really, like you said, you didn't even know if Pacquiao was still fighting. After that blow off, boxing is left in the shambles. So I definitely, I guess what it is, I still think Floyd's one of the best fighters, but I can't deny what he's doing. Look at fucking Canelo now. He's almost he's still fighting guys, but he'll just hop on steroids. So it's like, that doesn't help. Boxing looks really corrupt, man. There's nothing stopping the corruption looking from boxing. Like I said, you say everything about Mayweather. Canelo does a lot of the same shit. He'll hop on steroids. He's had gifts. Like I said, Floyd's had gifts. If anything, Pacquiao used to get cheated out of wins. Pacquiao probably should have had more wins, not just against Floyd. I thought he lost against Floyd, but Jeff Horn was one of the later fights. And like, he beat him. Chunk said, Chunk really said he beat up Rogan. Rogan would put him to sleep. Yeah, he did. Agree. Boxing used to be awesome. Then money showed up. They were still making money in the 80s and 90s. It's not the money. It's to me the lack of commissioners. There's no one ahead of everything. There's no one to tell anyone what to do. They're all independent contractors, and they could just do whatever they want. The promoters have a lot to do with it. The promoters keep people away. Mayweather being kind of his own promoter kind of changed the game, but a lot of he thinks like a promoter. That's really what Mayweather's issues is. That's why people dislike him. That's how he got to 50. He thinks like a promoter and less like a warrior. And I mean, that's how he made the money. He's money made. But the promoters, I feel like Deontay Wilder has been hurt by his promoters. He should have been a way better fighter by this point in his career, but his promoters gave him a tomato can too many. I mean, it's okay to give very young fighters very, winnable fights their first 5 to 10 fights so they can get that confidence. But there was a point where he was supposed to step up, and they never actually let it happen. And this is where it's costing him, where he's fighting Fury, a guy I still, maybe he could have beat, but he's just not skilled enough. Saw a flash video before Pacquiao Mayweather. Mayweather turned to a chicken circling the ring, and then Pac chased him around the whole round. Pretty much how it went down. Yeah, he definitely was on his bicycle. Another monster. Agreed. Coolest move I ever did working at a bar. Dude squared off on me. I flicked him really hard in the throat with my fingers. It appears that I waved my head. Dude start choking. Straight up Jedi shit. I thought you were a Wookiee. I don't know that Wookiees use the Force. Jedi shit, Wookiee. My favorite fight story. Video or it didn't happen. I want to see Sink versus Alex Jones sumo. Wookiee sounds 6'5". He might be 6'5". You're a big dude, Wookiee? Ton of fight stories. Yeah, I think a lot of people would pay to see what Loose Cannon said. Alex Jones and Sink Yuger in the sumo. James Hayes, haven't watched boxing since UFC took over the fight audience. Still miss old school fights, have become a bit rule heavy, leaving the ground and pound too strong. Talking about UFC 7-8. I don't think you actually are. Yeah, Wookiees are tall. Have a ton of fight stories. Used to be a hooligan when I was younger. You? Sentient dildo, a hooligan. Why I never? That was the problem. Too many rules break up great fights. Yeah, Sink. Dude, this was the 90s. LOL didn't have my camcorder on me. Sorry. Sure. Video or it didn't happen, Wookie. Nah. It might have. It might have. I believe you would. I'm trolling you. But yeah, I do think Mayweather did more damage. I think the ducking, like I don't think Mayweather was as much of a ducker as people give him credit for. Like I said, De La Hoya did a lot of the same shit. He just didn't get as much blame, mainly because it wasn't all on De La Hoya when he was a star. There was still a heavyweight division above him that even with De La Hoya would do some of the same things, like I said, with those rehydration clauses. Not just him, Sugar Ray did some of the same things. There's been fighters that did some of that stuff. Was it to the extent? Was it every fight like Mayweather? I don't know. I don't know if it was every fight. He didn't invent this shit. He didn't invent it. Football hooligan. Really? You're a big football guy? I guess, I mean that's the European thing. Were you one of those piss bag throwing motherfuckers, Ascension Dildo? Those roll flare throwers you used to see? They don't have those motherfuckers anymore. Not that I would ever go to a fucking football or soccer game, but that did make it more interesting. Like, man, they got a lot of passion. They're willing to throw piss at people. They're willing to throw flares at people over fucking football. Yeah, combination of Mayweather and Klitschko dominance was a snooze fest. Yeah, and Mayweather's style, he wasn't known for fighting like, trade. We didn't get fights like we got today with a lot of Mayweather except the Maidana fight. I remember, and I thought Maidana won that fight live. Even though, like I said, with a lot of people, as far as the gear thing, there's rumors about that with Maidana. He kind of had a short little thing. Oi, 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 says Loose Cannon. Yep, flares and lights. And he really did sweep him, man. I thought Fury won the first fight. It was clear, it was an obvious second fight and a third fight. I picked Wilder because I thought, hey, that fourth round, when he knocked him down twice and he was still showing effects in the fifth, I'm like, man, Wilder, he's going to get him. But I think all that extra weight came back to hurt him. Wilder geared up to give him the best 4 or 5 rounds he could. And after that, that was it. That's all he had. It was, you know what? That last fight was worth it. Okay, tell one that evens it out. Dude started shit with me in my own house. I got sucker punched. And my shorts dropped. My decision between holding my shorts up was fighting naked. I took a few thumbs. Oh man. So he went the other way. Got into a lot of fights. He said in your own house. I don't bullshit. That sucks. Oh man, now we're getting real graphic. I stabbed when I was 17. The streets of Croatia. Wow. I got jumped when I was 17. That's about it. Be right back. Smell y'all in a few minutes. All right. Rorschach, aka Loose Cannon. It definitely did suck. Yeah, it sucks, man. I mean, like someone in your own house, I imagine somebody you must have had some either friendship or at least an acquaintance of some sort. That's always the worst. When it's somebody you know or somebody you cool with and you get into a beef. It's super humiliated. That sucks. That sucks. You win some, you lose some, but you live to fight another day, Craig. Well, shit, unless you were on the Friday set because all those motherfuckers are dying out. Was that the bad blue days, buzz, all thinker? Origin story just jumped at 17, turned vigilante. No, it's a lot before and in between then. Geez, the origin story. I couldn't even tell you. There's not enough time in the rest of our lives to tell the whole origin story of vigilante. The long and short is that I came up with the idea because I did music. I did it under my regular name. Like, I didn't want to do that again in case, a job caught it. And I had my regular name. I had that SoundCloud. Now somebody else has it. But I was parked on it. I deleted it. I didn't want to be Googled. And you can't find my old music now. I went too hard. I can't even find my own music. And I came up with this idea like 2018, 2019, but didn't do anything with it. And last year when Gary was like, oh, we need more YouTubers. And I was already feeling that. I already actually did a review that I never release because I didn't like the way it came out. But I wrote a whole script and recorded this whole long ass review to Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I was going to do it under the name Vigilante Williamson. I didn't do it. And then June or July last year, must have been June because I started the channel in June. So last May or maybe May or June, Gary, he was repeatedly, it wasn't just one episode or one show, but he would keep constantly saying, yeah, we need more channels because you know how YouTube is. We need more channels. We need more channels. I'm like, you know what? I got to do it. I started a stream about positive news. That's why I end a lot of these shows with positive news. And I've just been talking shit ever since. So that's the short way. VW tell Dildo, all thinker said Bach. Are you the same guy? All thinker. It's funny now. If I were someone else, I would have laughed my ass off. Yeah, I guess. Sure wasn't funny then. Yes, very much the origin story. As far as the fight, because that's really all I have to talk about this episode. We talked about little stuff. We talked about I already forgot the damn demon's name, Sharon Waxaw or something, who runs the rap. How evil she is. Bakra Baraz says Senshin Dildo. Not sure if this is some Croatian shit. But as far as the fight goes, it was I was very much entertained. Really worth it. I wish if we would have had a generation of fights like that, a generation of people fighting each other the past 20 years, even with the rise of MMA, boxing would still be relevant. I think, Kai was pretty adamant and pretty angry about Mayweather, and a lot of people have that perception. There's some I try to push back some, but some I can't, man. And I'm not a die-hard Mayweather guy either. You know what I mean? I probably liked Manny's career a little bit better myself. I just recognize that and you know what it is? A part of me thinks Manny was okay with getting ducked after a certain point. Like the first couple of years, he was pissed, but then once he realized he was becoming a star and he could just go knock somebody out and make a lot of money himself, he was complicit a little bit. He was a bit more complicit than he probably should have been. But you know what? It is what it is. And I think boxing really has to be it's a heavyweight driven thing. If the whole boxing world wasn't on Mayweather's back, if there was a active heavyweight division that people cared about, that was still important, that entire Mayweather era, would it have been as big of an issue? Because again, like I said, De La Hoya did some of the similar things. There have been fighters who would do crazy stuff with the fight requirements. There were fights that didn't always happen, but there was a heavyweight division above it. Like when people bring knives, stitches ain't no thing, and I'm really good at taking them away. Yeah, that's some wild shit. It's a real weird looking slap move. One hand slaps the knife, probably getting a cut. The other hand slaps out the elbow. You get cut, they get a broken elbow. I see. So yeah, you're really a fighting. Give sub to Classic Glue Reviews. What's Classic Glue Reviews do? Shout out to Classic Glue Reviews. Never heard of them. But yeah, I guess give a sub to them. I never heard of them. Not sure what their bag is. I'm not sure if there's something you're doing, loose cannon, or if that's just something you're a fan of. Yeah, it's sad that boxing doesn't have fights like this more often. Another fight that was pretty good, a couple was it 2 or 3 years ago. There was a Errol Spence Sean Porter fight that was really good. Like there, he's palpy. I love fighting. Been doing this since grade school. I see. You ever fight any professional stuff or just a bunch of street shit? And I did see that street beef that you sent me. You said it would have been funny. It was actually fairly just entertaining fight. Um, and that one person was transgender man to female or in transition. And they lost, but they still put up a good fight. I'm still interested. Um, but man, that if boxing would have gotten a generation of that, it would not be in the situation it is in. Well, it's a niche sport. Oh, just for fun and anger and the usual. I see. But boxing is a niche sport, and it's a niche sport because you don't get more fights like that, and you don't get more people fighting each other. There's a little bit more of a push. Like I said, I talked about Errol Spence and Sean Porter. There was also Teofimo Lopez in that division, and Lomachenko in one of the lower weight divisions. There's still so many fucking belts. There's so many damn divisions. I'm probably better at it than the average person, but the average person couldn't tell you how many fucking divisions there are. I know welterweight, I know super middle, and some of these divisions. Some of them I know by weight class, like the number, like 154 and stuff, 130, you know what I mean? But like 140, is the average person gonna know all these fucking weight classes? That's why it was really good when you just had a heavyweight, welterweight, middleweight, maybe a cruiserweight, super middle, some a couple in betweens, lightweight, and it was just simple. And there was only one, maybe two belts, and usually the guy gets both of them. Now there's 4 fucking belts for every division. There's a division every few pounds. It's just insane to try to keep up with for normies. So they only and then people don't want to fight each other because now everybody thinks they're Mayweather and they want to hold their oath forever. And nobody really develops, and it's just become it's a real issue. And I hope boxing can remedy this issue. I hope they can get guys fighting. There were 2 young guys who fought, Frank Sanchez and Ajagba. That was I don't know if that fight gets made 3 or 4 years. I think maybe it was the Koof. But 3 or 4 years ago, maybe they both try to hide we're undefeated, so we're not going to fight each other. We're going to fight more tomato cans and then wait to try to hype up our fight. No, they just fought each other. And the guy who lost has to get better now. And that's good. It's okay to take a loss and then get better. It's fine. Homie just couldn't hit hard enough in the Street Beast fight. I laughed my ass off. It was funny at first, but then it became kind of like interesting. You know what I mean? Because he had heart. He had heart. Got a ton of heart. Speaking of fighting, some jealous dude tried busting my face because his girlfriend liked me more. I got a scar, but not that dude. The fuck out. That sucks. That sucks. I didn't really get into too many beefs. One thing is I'm not a bar guy. I don't like bars. So that eliminates half of them as an adult. That's half the battle. Just not being in the damn bar. I've gone. I can count on one hand, especially the past 5 or 6 years. I could probably count on one hand all the times I've been to a bar. I'm not a bar guy. I already said this. So we're talking about the fight, talking about real fights. As far as what's going next with the world title, will we get a unified title? I really hope Usyk can fight Fury. I really don't. I don't really want to see Usyk and Joshua again. I technically have not. I've seen like clips and stuff, but haven't seen the whole fight. I don't think. I don't think Joshua overcame the Ruiz loss. I didn't think that in either of the fights in between. The Ruiz rematch with Anthony Joshua, as dominant as he was running most of the fight, any exchange he had with Ruiz looked like he was going to fucking kill him again. And so he would duck out of it. And he didn't have that many exchanges with Ruiz. But he looked like he could not handle the smoke again, even though he was dominating that fight. And I think in Anthony Joshua's head, he is scared of getting punched. He thinks he's going to be stopped. And Usyk took advantage of that. And I think Joshua He needs some tomato cans to build his confidence up. I don't think he needs to at least one or two tune up fights. That's what I think he needs anyway. And plus, I just want to see undisputed. I want to see an undisputed world champion. I really do. I really do. So I'd rather see Usyk. If Usyk fights Fury, that'll be, our chance to get a undefeated, undisputed world champion. And I don't think, please someone correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if we had one as far as heavyweight since Mike Tyson back in the 80s and 90s, or 80s and early 90s. So that's a long time. Undefeated, undisputed. I know Muhammad Ali was one at one point. I think Larry Holmes was one. But it's not easy to do. So I definitely want to see that. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Yeah, she was a twat though. Yeah, the hoes usually are. They always raise their chin when they puff out their chest. Sock them in the neck. Oh shit, he's here. Yeah, I am here. I made it. Got the mini beast. Looking at it now, it's fucking stupid. No, fuck that. I want to see Reptilian versus Insectoid. Bill's character also could build felony charges, man. Rocky versus Godzilla now. I want a fight between Amy Schumer and Lena Dunham. It's a lot to say. I would pay to see that fight. I would like to see those bitches beat the shit out of each other, though. Ill Wookie. Yeah, it's a lot to say, man. But I mean, I feel like Lena Dunham might club Amy Schumer. She's a big bitch. Like one of those push punches may knock her out. That would be an interesting fight. You ever saw them getting in a fight? It wouldn't be technically that good, but it'd definitely be interesting. Yeah, I would watch that too. I'm a Wookiee. It wouldn't be the most pleasing to the eyes though. In Loose Cannon's defense. That's you too, right? Because it's funny. Even in that Rorschach mask, it kind of looks like you. Like it looks like your avatar. Like if I knew you, I probably could still tell it was you in that mask. Which makes every fucking superhero movie not make sense where the main character will see, the love interest will see the main character both in the costume and outside the costume, but not know it's them. A lot of fisting. LOL. Yeah. Ugh. That'd be good. Lena Dunham. I mean, Amy Schumer's disgusting, but Lena Dunham, wasn't she like in a bikini or some shit? It was some gross thing last year. I think it was one of those like get naked for Joe Biden or some shit. I don't know. It was just like disgusting. I know Amy Schumer did something like that. It just is like the image is burnt in my head. Just like, man, you really shouldn't wear that if you're that big. You just shouldn't. Oh, so it's not you. Okay. Or a fight between Abraham Lincoln and John Lennon. Gross. Yeah. Or you talking about no to the Dunham thing? Because yeah, it was definitely gross. Gross. Huh. I guess I could talk about something different before we leave, because I've kind of said all I could say on the fight. Really good fight. Really wish boxing had more of these fights. But we've been talking a lot about the Koof, and I just saw this in passing. I'm like, you know what? I'll cover it real quick. I think it's an interesting angle. We've talked a lot about the Koof. We've talked a lot about how this enforcement is disgusting and disturbing. This is your Halloween pick. Still looks like you. And we've talked about how authoritarian everything is. We haven't talked about what are the people who are enforcing these authoritarian crazy laws. What's going on in their head? And so I saw this is on RT, it's Russian, so that means it's evil. But It's an interesting story. It's an Australian cop quits after a bombshell interview, claims most of his colleagues suffering and don't want to enforce these tough rules, but they are enforcing them. I saw people, I've seen the police in Australia walk into people's homes. I've seen them do all sorts of crazy shit. I've seen them shoot people. So this idea that they don't want to enforce it, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. A female officer with Victoria Police who served for 16 years has resigned in protest at the use against the use of police to enforce COOF rules. In an interview, saying that great majority of her colleagues share their sentiments. Well, they don't because they're not doing it. Not doing it. We saw what happened with our own Lord Thoth and a lot of the people in Ontario. They didn't want to enforce rules, and so the rules got changed. So if you guys really didn't want to enforce it, you wouldn't be enforcing it. It wouldn't be people getting shot in the back. So acting senior sergeant Christelle Mitchell has appeared on discernible interviews on the Discernible Interviews channel. I've never heard of that channel. On YouTube on Friday, wearing dark blue uniform, revealing she had been troubled by how police resources have been applied during the pandemic by state authorities. Victoria Police has been tasked making sure people in one of Australia's most populous states abide by the lockdown restrictions by curbing quote unquote, I'm putting quote unquote illegal protests against the unethical, in my opinion, health rules. That these are editorials by me. It's not obviously in the article. And jab mandates, which often turn violent, resulting in numerous arrests and accusations and outright incidences of police brutality. Again, my editorial. Melbourne, Victoria's capital city, holds the world record for the longest lockdown. Mitchell, who had been working of course, she's working with gender equality and inclusive command. Of course she is. Of course, while you're enforcing draconian authoritarian lockdown that's going to shape the human condition, but you gotta make sure that there's some fucking gender equality with the oppressive regime. Thank you, Western civilization. You insane motherfuckers, you. Mitchell been working with the Gender Equality and Inclusive Command, said that all my friends, which I don't know, whatever, part of that group, that are police officers that are working the front line and suffering every day enforcing CHO or Chief Health Officer directions that certainly the majority don't believe in and don't want to enforce. Again, we're not seeing that because you are enforcing it. Law enforcers were scaring people in the community, and she herself felt uneasy when encountering officers in the street while off duty wearing civilian clothes, she confessed. Some rough behavior. Is this a video? Just I guess it's another article. Some rough behavior by the police during the pandemic may be partially explained by the enforcement approach taken by the Victoria Premier Daniel Andrews. Mitchell suggested. I think that's the reason, an issue why why perhaps police are feeling emboldened to act in relation to these harsher actions, because the messaging coming from Andrews, who tells the enforcers what to do on a daily basis. The consequences of me being here today is I'll be resigning from Victoria Police effective the end of this interview, because the consequences of me coming out publicly will be dismissal. So she basically like, because I'm doing this interview, I'm going to get fired, so I'm quitting now. I see. And you guys are talking about Jimi Hendrix and Gandhi as far as bare knuckle fights. And Loose Cannon has a friend who lives in Australia. Stupid shit down under. I have somebody I know live in Australia. I haven't talked to him in a little bit. Dude, screw this. Show the human pig hybrid baby video. What? Is that something on the side? Because I didn't pay attention. East Australia that's gone full on. Y'all see the West Australia didn't? Of course, SMH. She needs duct tape on her face, not a mask. Let me see. The police confirmed Mitchell used to be one of the officers, but stressed her comments nowhere reflected the whole force. Victoria Police cannot pick and choose what law enforces. Well, technically, police do that every single day. It's a statement on Saturday. It said in a statement on Saturday, adding the police look forward to easing the restrictions in the eventual return to pre-COOF life. That's never happening. You guys don't. The powers that be, the state, never want normalcy to ever return. That's why they constantly, with all their state propaganda, do these quote unquote private companies, corporations. They hit this is the new normal. This is it's never going back in any state, in any country, unfortunately. In Australia or America, it's in the West, in the East, the entire world. They'll never let go of the power they've taken the past 20 or 18 months or whatever it's been. As for Mitchell, she'd be the subject of professional standards command investigation over her revelations, according to the statement. Well, she's obviously retired or quit. And then several instances of police brutality in the state of Victoria went viral, which I think I may have shown some. You guys have seen some of the stuff over COVID restrictions in Melbourne. One of the viral clips that caused outrage featured police violently tossing an elderly woman to the ground, pepper spraying her. In another incident, an officer was filmed slamming a demonstrator over the pavement. I saw them shooting at demonstrators. So, I mean, it got way worse than that. But what do you guys say? Oh, it's in the Discord. Oh boy. What? What do you have me play, Wookie? The Palpatine Doctrine. Yeah, it is. The government won't get back that power. No, it never happens. I mean, it never happens. And you said I need to check the Discord more often. You post the absolute fire. I never check my Discord, man. I'm sorry. I don't even know why I have one. Like I just have one to have one. I'm frightened to death to check it. That's not a ringing endorsement. Half human, half pig. I know I get National Choir with conspiracy theories, but that sounds a bit creepy. But for you, Wookie, I guess you're my guy, so I'll check it with tons of trepidation, as you can see. It's not my thing. Yeah, I do not check that's why I don't promote my Discord. It still has the old logo. I do not check it. Oh boy, what the fuck is this? Wookie, what the fuck is this? This looks creepy, man. Oh shit. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not suggesting. That's too much for me. I'm not suggesting the good people watching this to that. Oh boy. That's too much for me, Wookie. I'm sorry, bro. You say you have one because I'm an exile is the only way for you to share thing. Yeah, I saw enough of that. Really check my Discord as well. So it's a cops baby, but tis. Nightmare Fuel. Yes, pure pure Nightmare Fuel. I'm not showing that shit. Nah. I'm passing my Steve Nash because I don't want to see that shit again. I don't want to ever see that shit again in my life. That looked evil. I hope that wasn't real. I don't know what the fuck that was. And on that bombshell, it's time to end. I don't know how to top that. I'm not showing it. You're gonna have to Google that shit yourself and find Wookiee supremacy on Discord or something. That's way too much. I need a moment. That was too much. But I want absolutely real. I'm not gonna investigate that. Oh boy. It's on YouTube by a channel called The Resistance. It says first video of human animal hybrid leaked 2021. So human man pig experiment gone wrong. So if you want to check that out yourself, there you go. Again, pure nightmare fuel. pure demon shit. I'm good. Join the Discord. I don't even know what my link is. I should join my own Discord. But on that bombshell, I want to thank Wookiee Supremacy. Yeah, it must be some kind of experiment. I want to thank Cinch and Dildo. Also, Fizz Chozo. I want to thank him. Check out Goofanoid, which is his Indiegogo. Check out shout out to my man Loose Cannon. Check out Wookiee Supremacy's channel. He has a channel. I think it's still up. I'm not sure if he's pissed off Susan and the Overlords yet. So check him out. Who else here? Nelson the Gentleman. Hell, Nelson the Gentleman. I want to thank you. I want to thank All Thinker and the Twitch. Shout out to the Twitch. Kai MFS had a kind of a heated discussion about Mayweather and some of the damage he bought to, and I agree with some stuff in principle, but I think some of it could be, he gets a bit more blame than he deserves, because if the other things were in a different state, it wouldn't have mattered as much. We got some fight stories from Wookie. Shout out to James Hayes. Shout out to I think Courtney's, what was it? Courtney's Fellowship of Eyeballs, another monster who was happy with a lot of stuff Kai was saying. And I feel like there's some other people, a couple other newbies, whoever it was, and Kai is still here, just figuring out stuff on his own website. Check out Kai's website. Check out Kai's book. I saw Brightest Day was doing like a something on Space Crime Domino, which is the book that Kai released. Actually, I think last year now. It's been a whole year almost. So please check that out. Wookie dropped a new video yesterday, he thinks. So yeah, and the human pig hybrid organs will be put to good use. You're crazy with my kind of crazy Wookie. You all are my kind of crazy. I want to thank you all for being here. Book birthday was October 1st. So yeah, it's a year old. Wow. Congrats on the book. Hope more people check it out, and I hope it constantly gets out there, because we need new creators. And shout out to Fizz Chozo. He's doing this comic book thing with Goofanoid. We're not going to get good creativity and good talent and good stories out of Hollywood or the mainstream, so we got to do it ourselves. Thank you all. Thank you both for doing that. Thank you all for being here. If you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged, share and subscribe, please do so. Know this is a bit different than what we normally do. Even though we got into some politics or some news at the end, we see how demonic this lockdown is. Maybe there are indeed people who aren't in favor of it. We need to see more of that from law enforcement. I don't necessarily see that. And oh man, Dark Haster, you're literally coming in as we leave. Please watch the playback. We were talking about the Fury and Wilder fight and some other boxing stuff and a few other things. And thanks, I think Cannons. Okay. So, all right. If you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share, subscribe, please do that. And even if you do none of these things, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Good night and God bless. Peace, everybody. Peace.
Some motherfuckers are always